My name is Travis Callahan, and I'm the kind of husband whose wife still calls him babe, but only when she wants me to take the trash out or fix her laptop. At 39, I'm what you'd call professionally invisible, IT support at Brookfield Academy, a fancy private school where rich kids learn to be richer adults. I fix computers, reset passwords, and pretend not to notice when teachers watch Netflix during class. It's honest work, even if it doesn't pay for the BMW my wife Katie thinks she deserves. Katie's 36, works in HR at Brighton Solutions, and has ambitions bigger than our two-bedroom colonial in Medford. She's got that polished corporate look, blonde highlights that cost more than my monthly car payment, designer clothes from outlet stores she pretends are full price, and a smile that could sell ice to Eskimos. Used to work on me too, back when we were young and stupid enough to think love conquered student loans. These days, Katie treats our marriage like a performance review that's permanently under revision. Everything I do gets measured against some invisible standard I never quite meet. Take last Tuesday night. I made dinner, nothing fancy, just chicken parmesan and salad. And her first words were, "Derek made lobster risotto for his team meeting today?" From scratch. Derek Fielding. If I had a dollar for every time Katie mentioned Derek, I could afford that BMW she wants. He's her coworker, the Golden Boy project manager who apparently walks on water and craps rainbows. 34, married to Emily Brighton, yes, the boss's daughter, and blessed with the kind of effortless charm that makes middle management swoon. "That's nice, honey," I said, serving her plate. "Did Derek also do the dishes?" She didn't laugh. Katie used to laugh at my jokes. The warning signs had been building for months, late nights at the office, weekend team building exercises, a sudden interest in fitness that coincided with Derek joining her gym. But I'm not stupid, despite what my paycheck might suggest. I know the difference between dedication and deception. The real wake-up call came on a Thursday night in October. Katie was in the shower and her phone buzzed on the nightstand. The screen lit up with a text preview. "Can't wait for tomorrow night. The hotel looks amazing. You're amazing. D." My stomach dropped like I'd swallowed a bowling ball. I shouldn't have looked. Every marriage counselor and self-help book says snooping is wrong, that trust is the foundation of love, blah, blah, blah. But when your wife is getting hotel reservations from another man, the moral high ground becomes a luxury you can't afford. Her phone wasn't locked. Rookie mistake. The message thread between Katie and Derek read like a romance novel written by overly excited teenagers. Selfies, inside jokes, plans for their work trip to Portland. The hotel reservation was under K plus D, like they were some cute couple on their honeymoon instead of two cheating a-holes destroying their marriages. I took screenshots, call it insurance. Friday morning, Katie left for her conference, wearing a dress I'd never seen before and perfume that definitely wasn't for client meetings. She kissed my cheek, actually kissed it, which should have been sweet but felt like Judas money. "I'll miss you, babe," she said, wheeling her suitcase toward the door. "I'll miss you too," I lied. She was gone for 3 days. 3 days of radio silence, broken only by a few generic texts. "Conference is boring. Hotel food sucks. Miss home." Meanwhile, her Instagram told a different story. Pictures of Portland's waterfront. Fancy restaurant meals. And then Sunday night and the post that changed everything. A photo of Katie and Derek, arms wrapped around each other like they were posing for their engagement announcement. Both grinning like idiots, faces flushed with wine and guilt. The caption read, "My real partner, hashtag work trip nash at Portland best team." My real partner. Not work partner or project partner or any other euphemism that might provide plausible deniability. Real partner. Like I was the fake one. Like our 12 years of marriage were some elaborate placeholder arrangement until the real thing came along. I stared at that post for an hour, watching the likes and comments pile up. Her friends from work. "You two are so cute," her college roommate. "When's the wedding? LOL." Her own mother. "Beautiful couple." Her mother. Jesus Christ. Katie came home Monday evening all smiles and fake energy, talking about the amazing networking opportunities and how productive the trip had been. She hugged me like nothing had happened, like she hadn't just publicly humiliated me in front of everyone we knew. "How was the conference?" I asked. "Oh, boring presentations, terrible coffee. Derek and I barely had time to grab dinner between sessions." She was still lying. Even with the evidence posted on social media for the world to see, She was still lying to my face. That night, after she fell asleep, I sat in our kitchen with a beer and my laptop, scrolling through the comments on her post. 53 likes, 27 comments, all congratulating my wife on finding her real partner. I thought about confronting her immediately, but something held me back. Maybe it was pride, or maybe it was the growing realization that this wasn't just an affair. It was a public execution of our marriage, and Katie was the one holding the axe. Tuesday morning, I tried a different approach. Saw your Instagram post from Portland, I said over coffee. Interesting caption. She didn't even flinch. Oh, Derek and I were just being silly. We worked so well together on the Morrison project. My real partner seems like more than work talk. Now she looked annoyed. Travis, don't be paranoid. It's just social media. Nobody takes that stuff seriously. Your mother commented on it. So? So she called you and Derek a beautiful couple. Katie's face flushed, but not with embarrassment, with anger. You're being ridiculous. Derek's married to Emily. I'm married to you. It's just a stupid post. Then delete it. What? If it's just a stupid post that doesn't mean anything, delete it right now. We stared at each other across the breakfast table, and for a moment I saw the real Katie, not the loving wife or the ambitious professional, but the calculating woman who'd been playing me for months. I'm not deleting anything, she said finally. You don't get to control my social media because you're feeling insecure. Insecure? I laughed, but there was no humor in it. Katie, you posted a picture calling another man your real partner. How exactly should I feel about that? You should feel like a mature adult who understands that I have work relationships that don't threaten our marriage. Work relationships that include hotel rooms and romantic dinners. Her coffee mug hit the table harder than necessary. Nothing happened, Travis. God, you're so suspicious. Maybe if you trusted me half as much as you doubt me, we wouldn't have these problems. Classic deflection. Turn my legitimate concerns into character flaws. Make me the bad guy for noticing her affair. Delete the post, Katie, please. No. Then I want you to leave. She laughed. Actually laughed. You're going to kick me out over an Instagram post? Travis, listen to yourself. You sound crazy. Delete it or I'm out. Fine, leave. See if I care. She grabbed her purse and headed for the door, pausing just long enough to deliver the ending blow. Maybe Derek's right. Maybe I do deserve better than this. The door slammed behind her, rattling the windows and my world. I sat there for a long time, staring at my reflection in the black coffee. 48 hours ago, I'd been a married man with problems. Now I was a married man with a war. I opened my laptop and checked Katie's Instagram again. The post was still there, but now it had a new comment from Katie herself. Some people can't handle success. Moving forward now, no regrets. She doubled down. Not only had she refused to delete the original humiliation, she'd added insult to injury with a public dismissal of our entire conversation. I took more screenshots. Then I opened a new browser tab and searched for divorce lawyers in Boston. If Katie wanted to play games, I'd show her the rules. Katie didn't come home that night, or the next. Her absence felt like a held breath, uncomfortable, unsustainable, but somehow necessary. I spent Wednesday evening on the couch with a beer and my laptop, diving deep into the digital evidence of my wife's betrayal. Social media is a beautiful thing when you're building a case. Every post, every comment, every tagged location becomes a breadcrumb trail leading straight to the truth. Katie and Derek had been sloppy, leaving a 6-month history of increasingly intimate interactions scattered across Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. There was the team lunch in July, where they sat suspiciously close together. The August company picnic, where Derek's arm was draped casually around Katie's shoulders while Emily, his actual wife, was clearly visible in the background, playing with their kids. September brought a series of working late posts that coincidentally occurred on the same nights Derek was also burning the midnight oil. But it was the recent stuff that really painted the picture. The Portland trip wasn't their first rodeo. I found hotel check-ins from Providence, Hartford, and Burlington, all supposedly business trips, all featuring the same cozy photos and inside jokes. The most revealing evidence was hiding in plain sight on LinkedIn, of all places. Professional networking sites are supposed to be boring, but Katie and Derek had turned theirs into a love letter disguised as career development. Mutual endorsements that read like personal ads. Katie brings passion and dedication to everything she touches. Derek's innovative approach always gets results. Looking forward to our next collaboration. It was nauseating, but it was also ammunition. Thursday morning, I made coffee for one and opened my laptop. Time to start making some phone calls. Brennan and Associates, this is Jennifer. Hi, I'd like to schedule a consultation with a divorce attorney. Of course. Can I get your name and a brief description of your situation? Travis Callahan. My wife is having an affair and broadcasting it on social media. There was a pause. I see, we can fit you in tomorrow at 2 p.m. Will that work? Perfect. Next call was trickier. I'd found Emily Fielding on Facebook, Derek's wife, Richard Brighton's daughter, mother of two, and blissfully unaware that her husband was playing house with my wife. Her profile was private, but her public information was enough. Emily Brighton Fielding graduated from Boston College, works at Brighton Elementary as a third-grade teacher. I couldn't just message her out of the blue. That would look psychotic, even if my motives were pure. But I could create a situation where the truth revealed itself naturally. Katie's Instagram post was still live, still collecting likes and comments from people who either didn't know she was married or didn't care. I scrolled through the list of people who'd interacted with it, looking for mutual connections. Bingo. Jen Morrison, Katie's college roommate and current bestie, had not only liked the post, but shared it to her own timeline with the caption, "When you find your person, so happy for you, Katie." Jen's post was public. And sitting right there in the comments was a response from someone named Sarah Chen. Wait, isn't Katie married to that IT guy? The conversation continued. Jen, it's complicated. She's been unhappy for years. But isn't Derek married too? To his boss's daughter? Emily's sweet, but she's not exactly ambitious. Katie and Derek just fit better, you know? Random person. This is messy AF. Another commenter. Someone should tell the wives. Jen, mind your own business. Katie deserves to be happy. I screenshotted the entire exchange, then kept digging. Social media drama has a way of spreading like wildfire, and this particular fire was just getting started. By Thursday afternoon, the story had reached the Brookfield Academy Mom Network, a gossip machine more efficient than CNN. These women knew everyone's business, and they'd connected the dots between Katie's post and the various school events where she'd appeared as my wife. Did you see Katie Callahan's Instagram? The IT guy's wife? No way. She's calling some other man her real partner. It's all over Facebook. Poor Travis. He seems like such a nice guy. I heard she's been cheating for months. Jen Morrison was bragging about it at book club. The conversations were happening in comment threads, private messages, and coffee shop gossip sessions across Medford and beyond. Katie had wanted attention for her new relationship, and she was getting it, just not the kind she'd expected. Friday afternoon, I sat in the law office of Patricia Brennan, a sharp-eyed woman in her 50s who specialized in high-conflict divorces. Mr. Callahan, I've reviewed the materials you sent over. This is quite a collection. Is it enough? For what? Proving adultery? Absolutely. Massachusetts is a no-fault state, but evidence of infidelity can still impact asset division and alimony determinations. She spread the printed screenshots across her desk like a poker hand. What concerns me is the public nature of this affair. Your wife seems to be going out of her way to humiliate you. That's exactly what she's doing. The question is why? In my experience, people don't usually broadcast their affairs unless they want something specific. Attention, validation, or leverage. What kind of leverage? Hard to say, but I'd be careful about retaliating too aggressively. The court doesn't look favorably on revenge tactics. What if I'm not the one doing the retaliating? She raised an eyebrow. Explain. What if Derek's wife found out about the affair through natural channels? Social media discovery, mutual friends, that sort of thing? That's not retaliation, Mr. Callahan. That's just information sharing. I left the law office with a retainer agreement and a strategy. Patricia would handle the legal side, filing papers, protecting my assets, documenting Katie's behavior. I would handle the social side. That evening, I created a fake Instagram account using a stock photo and the name Jennifer Walsh. Generic enough to blend in, real enough to pass casual inspection. I followed about 50 random people, liked a bunch of innocuous posts, and built a basic digital footprint. Then I sent Emily Fielding a direct message. Hi, Emily. I don't think we've met, but I saw some photos of your husband, Derek, with a married woman named Katie Callahan. They're calling each other real partners and staying in hotels together. I thought you should know. I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but I'd want someone to tell me if it were my husband. I attached screenshots of Katie's Instagram post, the hotel reservations I'd found, and the LinkedIn exchanges. Then I hit send and waited. Emily responded within an hour. Who is this? How did you get these photos? I replied, just someone who believes spouses deserve the truth. Check Katie's Instagram. The post is still public. 20 minutes later, Emily's response was a single word. Thanks. Saturday morning, my phone rang at 7 a.m., Katie's name on the caller ID. Travis, what the heck did you do? Good morning to you too, honey. How's Derek? Don't play dumb. Emily knows. She knows everything. Derek's father-in-law is involved now. This is a disaster. Sounds like a personal problem. You sent her those screenshots, didn't you? You vindictive bastard. I have no idea what you're talking about. Maybe Emily's just more observant than you gave her credit for. Katie's voice cracked with panic. Richard Brighton is calling an emergency meeting Monday morning. Derek thinks he's going to be fired. His marriage is over, Travis. Emily's filing for divorce. Again, sounds like a personal problem. Maybe Derek should have thought about that before he started playing house with my wife. Our marriage isn't over. We can fix this. You called another man your real partner, Katie, on social media, in front of everyone we know. What exactly is there to fix? It was just a stupid post. I was drunk and being silly. Then why didn't you delete it when I asked? Silence. Why didn't you delete it, Katie? Because I was angry. You were being controlling and paranoid, and I wanted to prove a point. What point was that? That you don't get to dictate my friendships. Friendships don't involve hotel rooms and romantic dinners. Nothing physical happened. I don't believe you. It's the truth. Even if it is, you emotionally cheated on me for months, then publicly humiliated me when I called you on it. That's not a friendship, Katie. That's an affair. She started crying, big, dramatic sobs designed to make me feel guilty. Once upon a time, they might have worked. But I'd spent too many nights staring at that Instagram post, too many hours cataloging her lies, too many moments realizing that the woman I'd married had become someone I didn't recognize. Please, Travis, I'll delete the post. I'll end things with Derek. We can go to counseling. Too late. It's not too late. We can fix this. You're right about one thing, Katie. It's not too late for you to pack your stuff and find somewhere else to live. I hung up and turned off my phone. Outside, it was a beautiful October morning, crisp and clear and full of possibilities. For the first time in months, I felt like I could breathe. Monday morning brought news that spread through Brighton Solutions like wildfire. Richard Brighton, company founder and old-school moralist, had called Derek and Katie into his office at 8 a.m. sharp. By 8:30, they were both escorted out by security, carrying cardboard boxes and their shattered careers. I heard about it from Ryan Murphy, my buddy from the IT department who'd gone to high school with Derek's cousin. Ryan called me during my lunch break, practically vibrating with excitement. Dude, you're not going to believe this. Derek and your wife got canned this morning. Both of them. Same meeting. No kidding. Richard Brighton went nuclear. Apparently, Emily showed him all the social media posts, the hotel receipts, everything. He fired them for conduct unbecoming and violation of company values. Derek's banned from all family events, cut off from the trust fund, the whole 9 yards. I tried to sound surprised. That seems extreme. Are you kidding? Richard's old school Catholic. His daughter's marriage imploding because her husband's screwing around with a coworker. That's like a personal insult to everything he believes in. What about Katie? She tried to play the victim card, claiming it was all innocent and Derek was just a friend. But Richard had copies of their LinkedIn messages, their Instagram posts, even some text exchanges Emily found on Derek's phone. Apparently, Katie called you her practice husband in one of them. The phrase hit me like a physical blow. Practice husband. Like our entire marriage was just a rehearsal for the real thing with Derek. You still there, Trav? Yeah, I'm here, just processing. Look, I know this is rough, but honestly, good riddance. Katie was always a little too ambitious for her own good. And Derek's a grade A douche who had everything handed to him and still couldn't keep it in his pants. That afternoon, I drove past Brighton Solutions just as Katie was loading boxes into her Honda Civic. She looked smaller somehow, diminished by the weight of her choices. Our eyes met across the parking lot, and for a moment I felt something that might have been pity. Then I remembered the practice husband comment and kept driving. The social media fallout was swift and merciless. Katie had deleted the original Instagram post sometime over the weekend, but screenshots live forever. The image of her and Derek, arms wrapped around each other with that highly revealing caption, had been shared across multiple platforms by people who barely knew them. Jen Morrison, Katie's former cheerleader, had gone quiet on social media. The other mutual friends were distancing themselves, deleting their supportive comments, and pretending they'd never encouraged the affair. It's funny how quickly people abandon a sinking ship when they realize they might get wet. Derek fared even worse. His professional Instagram account, once full of motivational quotes and humble bragging about his success, was flooded with comments ranging from mockery to outright hostility. Someone had created a meme using his headshot with the caption, "My real partner," that was making the rounds on LinkedIn of all places. Emily, meanwhile, had emerged as the sympathetic figure in the drama. Her Facebook post announcing the end of her marriage was a masterclass in dignified devastation. After 12 years together and 7 years of marriage, Derek and I are getting divorced. I'm grateful for our 2 beautiful children and the support of my family and friends during this difficult time. I ask for privacy as we navigate this transition. The post received over 200 supportive comments within hours. Emily's friends, Derek's former friends, even complete strangers, rallied around her with messages of encouragement and offers of help. She'd managed to claim the moral high ground without throwing a single punch. Katie, by contrast, had gone radio silent. Her last social media activity was deleting the Portland post, and even that felt like too little, too late. Tuesday evening, she showed up at the house. I was in the kitchen making dinner for one when I heard her key in the lock. She appeared in the doorway looking haggard and defeated, still wearing the same clothes from her termination meeting. "We need to talk." "No, we don't. Travis, please, I lost my job. Derek lost his job. Emily's filing for divorce and taking the kids. Richard's threatening to sue us both for breach of contract. My life is falling apart." Sounds familiar. She sat down at the kitchen table without invitation, burying her face in her hands. "I made a mistake, a huge, stupid mistake, but it doesn't have to ruin everything. It already has. Not us, not our marriage. I know I hurt you, but we can get past this." I turned off the stove and faced her. "Katie, you called me your practice husband." Her face went white. "What?" "Derek showed Emily your text messages. You called me your practice husband. Like our 12 years together were just a warm-up act for the real show." "I didn't mean it like that." "How did you mean it?" "I was angry. You were being possessive and controlling, and I said something stupid to Derek to make him feel better about his situation." "His situation being cheating on his wife with you? We never slept together." "I don't care if you did or didn't. You chose him over me, publicly and repeatedly. You humiliated me in front of everyone we know, then doubled down when I asked you to stop." Katie started crying again, but this time it felt different, less manipulative, more genuinely broken. "I know I screwed up. I know I hurt you. But losing you and my job and all our friends, it's too much. I can't lose everything. You should have thought about that before you posted that picture. It was just social media." "No, it wasn't. It was a choice. You chose Derek over me, then chose your pride over our marriage. Now you get to live with the consequences." She looked up at me with red-rimmed eyes. "What do you want? What can I do to fix this?" "Nothing. It's too late. Please, Travis, I'll do anything." "Then sign the divorce papers when they arrive." I left her sitting at the kitchen table and went upstairs to pack a bag. I'd been staying at Ryan's place since Saturday, but I needed to get more clothes. When I came back down, Katie was gone. She'd left her wedding ring on the counter. The next few weeks passed in a blur of legal meetings, paperwork, and the strange process of untangling a 12-year marriage. Patricia Brennan proved worth every penny of her substantial retainer, navigating the divorce proceedings with surgical precision. Katie had hired her own lawyer, a younger guy named Michael Torres, who specialized in damage control. He reached out to Patricia multiple times trying to negotiate a reconciliation, or at least a more favorable settlement for Katie. "Your wife's attorney wants to discuss alimony," Patricia told me during one of our meetings. "Given her recent job loss and the circumstances surrounding it, He's arguing she needs financial support while she gets back on her feet. Absolutely not. I agree, but we need to be prepared for his arguments. He's claiming Katie's termination was unfair, that she was fired for a personal relationship that didn't impact her work performance. What about the practice husband comment? Doesn't that show intent to end the marriage? It helps, but it's not definitive. However, I have another angle. Katie's social media activity demonstrates a pattern of deliberate humiliation. The Instagram post, the LinkedIn interactions, even her friends' public comments about you being inadequate, it all supports a case for intentional infliction of emotional distress. Can we use that? In Massachusetts, it's difficult to prove, but the public nature of her affair makes it easier. She didn't just cheat, Mr. Callahan. She advertised it. That shows malicious intent. Meanwhile, Derek's situation continued to deteriorate. The divorce from Emily was proceeding quickly, with Richard Brighton's legal team ensuring Derek got the bare minimum allowed by law. His attempts to find new employment were hampered by the viral nature of his downfall. Potential employers were Googling his name and finding the memes, the screenshots, and the general consensus that he was an untrustworthy narcissist. I heard through Ryan that Derek had moved back in with his parents in Quincy, a spectacular fall from the corner office, in company BMW he'd enjoyed as Richard's golden boy son-in-law. Katie wasn't faring much better. Her job search had stalled after potential employers discovered the circumstances of her termination from Brighton Solutions. Word travels fast in Boston's professional circles, especially when it involves public infidelity and family drama. She'd moved in with Jen Morrison temporarily, but even that friendship was strained. Jen had been Katie's biggest cheerleader during the affair, but supporting a friend's romance is different from housing an unemployed woman whose life imploded spectacularly. 3 weeks after the Brighton Solutions firings, I got an unexpected visitor at work. Emily Fielding appeared in my office doorway looking nervous but determined. Mr. Callahan, I'm Emily Fielding, Derek's ex-wife. I know who you are. Come in. She was prettier than her photos suggested, with kind eyes and understated elegance that made Katie's flashy style seem cheap by comparison. She sat down across from my desk, clutching a manila envelope. I wanted to thank you. For what? For making sure I knew the truth about Derek and Katie. I know it was you who sent me those screenshots. I kept my expression neutral. I'm not sure what you mean. She smiled sadly. The fake Instagram account was well done, but you made one mistake. The Jennifer Walsh profile liked several posts from Brookfield Academy's official page. It's not hard to connect the dots. Even if that were true, why would you want to thank me? Because you saved me from wasting more years on a man who never deserved them. Derek was cheating long before Katie came along. She was just the first one stupid enough to broadcast it. She slid the envelope across my desk. These are copies of everything I found on Derek's phone and computer. Text messages, emails, dating app conversations, financial records. Your lawyer might find them useful. I opened the envelope and scanned the contents. It was a treasure trove of evidence, documenting not just Derek's affair with Katie, but a pattern of infidelity stretching back years. Why are you giving me this? Because Derek and Katie destroyed our marriages for their real partnership, and now they're both miserable and alone. That feels like justice to me. After Emily left, I called Patricia and arranged to drop off the new evidence. Then I sat back in my chair and allowed myself a moment of satisfaction. Katie had wanted to play games with our marriage, turning it into a public spectacle for her own ego. She'd gotten her wish, just not the ending she'd expected. The dominoes were falling exactly as they should. November brought the first real snow of the season and a series of developments that made me believe in karma again. Katie's situation continued its downward spiral in ways that were both predictable and deeply satisfying. Her temporary living arrangement with Jen Morrison had exploded spectacularly. According to Ryan's girlfriend Sarah, who worked with Jen's sister, the two former best friends had a screaming match that ended with Katie being asked to leave. The fight started over Katie's inability to contribute to household expenses and escalated when Jen accused her of being a selfish narcissist who ruins everything she touches. Katie was now living in a studio apartment in Somerville, paying month-to-month rent that ate up most of her unemployment benefits. She'd taken a part-time job at a Target in Medford, a humbling come-down from her former HR manager position. I learned about the Target job from an unexpected source. Mrs. Patterson, one of the Brookfield Academy moms whose son was in my computer literacy class. Travis, I saw your wife at Target yesterday, she said during parent pickup. I almost didn't recognize her in that red vest. Ex-wife, I corrected. The divorce was finalized last week. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know. She lowered her voice conspiratorially. She looked tired, and when I said hello, she pretended not to see me. I wasn't surprised. Katie had always been image conscious, and working retail after her professional downfall must have felt like wearing a scarlet letter, especially in a town where everyone knew her story. The social media landscape had shifted too. Katie's Instagram account, once full of professional achievements and carefully curated lifestyle shots, had gone dormant. Her LinkedIn profile still existed but hadn't been updated since her termination. Even her Facebook activity had dwindled to the occasional shared meme or generic inspirational quote. Derek, meanwhile, had taken a different approach to his disgrace. He'd moved to Portland, the same city where he and Katie had their infamous work trip, and was trying to rebuild his career in tech sales. His social media presence had been scrubbed clean of any references to his former life. But the internet has a long memory. A simple Google search still brought up the memes, the screenshots, and the general consensus that he was professionally toxic. My own life, by contrast, was improving daily. The divorce settlement had been favorable, thanks largely to Patricia's skill and Emily's evidence cache. I kept the house, the car, and most of our savings. Katie got her personal belongings and a stern warning from the judge about the consequences of social media harassment. I'd also started dating again. Her name was Amanda Chen, a librarian at Boston Public who had no connection to the Brighton Solutions drama or the Medford Gossip Network. She was intelligent, funny, and refreshingly drama-free. We'd met at a coffee shop near the library, bonded over a shared love of detective novels, and had been seeing each other for 3 weeks. Amanda knew about my recent divorce, but not the sordid details. I'd simply told her my ex-wife had an affair, we'd grown apart, and the marriage ended amicably. It was close enough to the truth without dragging her into the mess. On a Thursday evening in late November, Amanda and I were having dinner at a small Italian restaurant in North End when Katie appeared at our table. Travis, we need to talk. She looked terrible. Her hair was unwashed, her clothes wrinkled, and she had the hollow-eyed look of someone who wasn't sleeping well. The confident, polished woman I'd married was gone, replaced by this desperate stranger. Katie, this isn't appropriate. I'm having dinner. I know about her, she said, glaring at Amanda. I know you're dating already. We've been divorced for exactly 2 weeks, and you're already replacing me. Amanda looked uncomfortable, but didn't flee, which I appreciated. Katie, this is Amanda. Amanda, this is my ex-wife. The one who had the affair? Amanda asked sweetly. Katie's face flushed red. Wasn't like that. What was it like? Amanda continued, her librarian instincts apparently including a talent for research and cross-examination. Because Travis mentioned you left him for a coworker. I didn't leave him for anyone. Derek and I were just friends. Friends who shared hotel rooms and called each other real partners on social media. I stared at Amanda in surprise. She shrugged. You're not the only one who knows how to Google. Katie's composure cracked completely. This is all your fault, Travis. You ruined everything. You sent those screenshots to Emily. You turned everyone against me. You destroyed my career. You destroyed your own career when you decided to broadcast your affair on Instagram. It wasn't an affair. Then what was it? She opened her mouth to answer, then closed it again. Even now, even after losing everything, she couldn't bring herself to admit the truth. I want you back, she said finally. I made a mistake, but we can fix this. We belong together. No, we don't. Yes, we do. You're my husband. Ex-husband. And you made it very clear I was just your practice husband anyway. The restaurant had gone quiet around us. Other diners were staring, some openly recording with their phones. Katie seemed oblivious to the attention. I didn't mean that. I was angry and hurt, and I said something stupid. You said a lot of stupid things, Katie. To Derek, to your friends, to social media. The only person you never said anything honest to was me. She started crying, the ugly, desperate kind of tears that make everyone uncomfortable. Please, Travis, I have nothing left. No job, no friends, no family who will talk to me. You're all I have. You should have thought about that before you threw our marriage away for a LinkedIn connection. Amanda reached across the table and squeezed my hand. Maybe we should go. Good idea. I stood up and threw two 20s on the table. Katie, don't contact me again. If you need something legal, call Patricia. Otherwise, we're done. We left her sitting alone at the table, still crying into her hands while strangers filmed her breakdown for their TikTok accounts. Outside, Amanda was quiet until we reached my car. That was intense, she said finally. I'm sorry you had to see that. Katie's been struggling since the divorce. Struggling with what? The consequences of her own actions? I looked at her in surprise. Amanda's mild demeanor hit a sharp edge I was just discovering. You really did Google the whole story, didn't you? Of course I did. You're a nice guy, Travis. But nice guys don't usually get divorced unless something dramatic happens. It took about 5 minutes to find the Instagram screenshots and piece together the timeline. And you're okay with all of it? With you getting revenge on a cheating wife who humiliated you publicly? Yeah, I'm okay with it. Actually, I'm impressed. Most people would have just quietly filed for divorce and moved on. You made sure she faced real consequences. We drove back to my place in comfortable silence. As I pulled into the driveway, Amanda spoke again. Can I ask you something? Sure. Are you done with the revenge, I mean? Because Katie looked pretty broken in there. And I want to make sure I'm not dating someone who's going to spend the next year plotting his ex-wife's destruction. It was a fair question. Katie was clearly suffering, her life in ruins, her future uncertain. A better man might have felt sorry for her, might have called off the dogs and let her rebuild in peace. But I remembered the Instagram post, the practice husband comment, the way she'd laughed when I asked her to delete the photo, the months of lies and manipulation that had preceded her public humiliation of our marriage. I'm done, I told Amanda. Katie's consequences are her own now. She smiled and leaned over to kiss me. Good, because I really like you and I'd hate to have to compete with your ex-wife for your attention. As we walked to the front door, I felt lighter than I had in months. Katie had wanted to replace me with Derek, to trade up from her practice husband to her real partner. Instead, she'd lost everything while I'd found someone better. Sometimes the best revenge is simply living well. But sometimes it's watching your enemies destroy themselves while you build something new. December arrived with a bitter cold snap and news that Derek's Portland experiment had failed spectacularly. Ryan heard it through his network of former Brighton Solutions employees. Derek had been fired from his new job after just 6 weeks when his background check revealed the circumstances of his previous termination. Apparently, some HR person Googled him and found all the memes, Ryan told me over beers at Murphy's Pub. His new boss called it a culture fit issue and cut him loose before his probation period ended. What's he doing now? Last I heard, he moved back in with his parents and is driving for Uber. Emily's lawyer's going after him for child support, but you can't get anything out of a stone. The mental image of Derek, former golden boy, corner office executive, trust fund beneficiary, driving strangers around Boston in his parents' Honda Civic, was almost too perfect to believe. Katie's situation wasn't much better. Her Target job had ended after Black Friday when she'd been caught arguing with a customer who'd recognized her from the viral Instagram post. The customer had apparently made some snide comment about real partners, and Katie had lost her temper in spectacular fashion. I learned about the incident from Mrs. Patterson during another school pickup conversation. She was screaming at this poor woman right there in electronics, Mrs. Patterson whispered. Security had to escort her out. It was all over the Medford Moms Facebook group within an hour. The Medford Moms group had become an unlikely source of Katie intelligence. These women treated her downfall like a soap opera, tracking her movements and mishaps with the dedication of investigative journalists. They documented her job loss, her apartment hunt, her failed attempts to reconcile with former friends, and her increasingly erratic public behavior. It should have felt cruel, this collective surveillance of a woman whose life had imploded. But Katie had courted public attention when she posted that Instagram photo. She'd wanted everyone to see her real partner and judge her marriage accordingly. Now they were seeing the consequences of that choice and judging those too. The week before Christmas, Amanda and I were shopping at Legacy Place when we spotted a familiar figure behind the Starbucks counter. Katie was wearing the green apron and forced smile of food service, taking orders from suburban shoppers who probably had no idea they were being served by a local scandal. Is that her? Amanda asked. Yeah. We watched Katie work, noting the way she kept her head down and avoided eye contact with customers. Her hair was pulled back severely, and she looked like she'd lost weight. The confident woman who'd once managed HR for a successful company had been replaced by someone who seemed to be trying to disappear entirely. Should we say something? No, let's just go. But as we turned to leave, Katie looked up and saw us. Our eyes met across the crowded food court, and for a moment I saw a flash of the old Katie, proud, defiant, unbroken. Then her face crumpled, and she turned away. She looks miserable, Amanda observed as we walked toward the parking garage. Yeah. Do you feel bad for her? I considered the question. Did I feel bad for Katie? She was clearly struggling, working minimum wage jobs, living alone, cut off from the social and professional networks that had once defined her identity. Her affair with Derek had cost her everything, and the public nature of their downfall had made it impossible to quietly rebuild. But then, I remembered coming home to find her texting another man about hotel reservations. I remembered the Instagram post and her refusal to delete it. I remembered being called her practice husband while she planned a future with someone else. No, I said finally. I don't feel bad for her. Amanda nodded approvingly. Good. She made her choices. That evening, as we decorated my Christmas tree, I reflected on how much my life had changed in just 3 months. In September, I'd been a married man whose wife was publicly humiliating him. Now I was divorced, dating someone wonderful, and watching my ex-wife serve coffee to strangers while her former lover drove Uber in his parents' car. The transformation felt surreal, like I'd been living someone else's life and had suddenly awakened to find myself in the right story. My phone buzzed with a text message from an unknown number. Travis, it's Katie. I know you don't want to hear from me, but I need to say something. I'm sorry for everything. The affair, the Instagram post, the things I said about you, I was selfish and cruel, and I destroyed the best thing in my life. I don't expect forgiveness, but I needed you to know that I know what I lost. Merry Christmas. I showed the message to Amanda, who read it with raised eyebrows. Are you going to respond? No. Why not? Because she's not apologizing to me. She's apologizing to herself, trying to feel better about her choices. If she was really sorry, she would have deleted that Instagram post when I asked her to. Amanda curled up next to me on the couch, her head on my shoulder. You know what I like about you, Travis? What's that? You're not a pushover. A lot of guys would feel guilty right now, seeing their ex-wife struggling and sending apologetic texts. They'd want to help, or at least forgive. And you don't think I should? I think forgiveness is earned, not given. And Katie hasn't earned it. She's just facing consequences. We finished decorating the tree in comfortable silence, the colored lights casting a warm glow over my living room. Outside, snow was beginning to fall, covering the world in a clean white blanket that made everything look new and full of possibility. Katie's apology text remained unanswered in my phone. A final attempt at connection from someone who'd burned every bridge between us. I deleted it without a second thought and pulled Amanda closer. Some chapters end with forgiveness and reconciliation. Others end with justice and new beginnings. I knew which kind of story I was living now. The knock on my door came at 11:47 p.m. on New Year's Eve. Amanda and I had been watching the ball drop on TV, sharing a bottle of champagne and talking about vacation plans for the spring. We'd both had enough to drink that the sharp rapping sound took a moment to register. Expecting someone? Amanda asked. No. I looked through the peephole and saw Katie standing on my front porch, swaying slightly in the cold. She was holding something in her hands, a bottle maybe, or a phone. Behind her, barely visible in the shadows, stood Derek. Jesus Christ, I muttered. Who is it? Katie and Derek. Amanda sat up straighter. Both of them? Here? Now? The knocking resumed, more insistent this time. Katie's voice carried through the door. Travis, I know you're in there. We need to talk. I pulled out my phone and opened the security app I'd installed after the divorce. The cameras I'd mounted around the house showed Katie and Derek clearly. Both appeared to be drunk, and Derek was carrying what looked like a crowbar. Call the police, I told Amanda. Are you sure? Maybe they'll just leave if we ignore them. Derek's got a tool. The knocking stopped, replaced by the sound of Derek's voice. Open the door, Travis. We just want to talk. Then Katie, you ruined our lives. You destroyed everything. I activated the security system's recording function and turned on the exterior floodlights. The sudden brightness made both Katie and Derek stumble backward, shielding their eyes. Travis Callahan! Katie screamed. Come out here and face what you did! Amanda was on the phone with emergency, speaking in low, urgent tones. I could hear the dispatcher asking questions about tools and threats. Derek stepped forward and raised the crowbar. You think you're so smart, don't you? Hiding behind your cameras and your lawyers. He swung the crowbar at my front window. The impact spiderwebbed the glass, but didn't break it. The security film I'd installed after Katie moved out was doing its job. They're trying to break in, I told Amanda, who relayed the information to the dispatcher. Katie was crying now, the ugly, desperate sobs I'd heard at the restaurant. Why couldn't you just let us be happy? Why did you have to destroy everything? Because you destroyed me first, I shouted through the door. You called me your practice husband. You humiliated me in front of everyone we knew. It was just a stupid post. It was our marriage. Derek hit the window again, and this time a small crack appeared in the security film. He was stronger than he looked, or maybe desperation was giving him extra strength. The police are on their way, Amanda said, hanging up the phone. They said to stay inside and keep recording. I moved to the back door and checked that it was locked and armed. The security system was recording everything. Derek's attempts to break the window, Katie's drunken rants. They're trespassing on my property. Whatever happened next, I'd have evidence. Travis! Katie's voice was getting hoarse. I loved you. I really did. But you were never enough. You never tried to be enough. The words hit like physical blows. Even now, even while breaking into my house, she was still trying to make this my fault. I was enough for 12 years, I shouted back, until you decided you wanted an upgrade. Derek had moved to the side window, testing it with the crowbar. The motion sensor lights followed him, keeping him illuminated for the cameras. You want to know the truth? Katie screamed. Derek was better than you in every way. Better job, better car, better in bed. Amanda winced. She's really going for the throat. She always did when she was cornered. Better at everything except staying married, I yelled. How's that working out for you both? Derek roared in frustration and threw the crowbar at my front door. It bounced off harmlessly, but the sound was loud enough to wake the neighbors. I could see lights coming on in the houses around us. The whole neighborhood's watching now, Amanda observed. This is going to be all over social media tomorrow. She was right. Mrs. Patterson's house was directly across the street, and I could see her silhouette in her bedroom window, probably filming everything on her phone. The Medford Moms Facebook group would have a field day with this. Sirens were audible in the distance now, getting closer. Katie must have heard them too because her rants became more frantic. You think you won? You think this is winning? Look at us, Travis. Look what you turned us into. I didn't turn you into anything. You did this to yourselves. Derek was back at the front window, kicking it now instead of using the crowbar. His coordination was clearly impaired by alcohol, and he kept missing his target. Dude's gonna hurt himself, Amanda said, almost admiringly. This is like watching a nature documentary about stupid animals. The police cars turned onto my street, their red and blue lights painting the snow-covered houses in alternating colors. Katie saw them coming and made one last, desperate plea. Travis, please. We can still fix this. All of us. We can find a way to make this work. There is no us anymore, Katie. And there hasn't been since you posted that picture. The first police car pulled into my driveway, and 2 officers got out with their hands on their tools. Derek immediately dropped the crowbar and raised his hands, but Katie kept screaming. He stalked us. He harassed us. He ruined our careers. One of the officers approached her while the others secured Derek. I could hear them through the door, asking for identification and explanation. Ma'am, we need you to calm down and step away from the house. This is my house. I lived here for 12 years. Ma'am, the homeowner called about trespassers. Do you currently live at this address? No, but then you need to step away from the house. I opened the front door, staying behind the security screen. The officer looked at me with professional calm. Mr. Callahan, you called about intruders? Yes, my ex-wife and her friend. They've been trying to break in for about 20 minutes. Anyone hurt? No, but they damaged my window and threatened me with a crowbar. The officer nodded and spoke into his radio. Within minutes, 2 more patrol cars arrived, along with an ambulance. Derek and Katie were separated, questioned, and eventually loaded into the back of different police cars. As they drove away, I noticed at least a dozen neighbors standing on their porches and lawns, phones in hand, recording everything. Mrs. Patterson waved at me from across the street. Well, Amanda said, pouring herself another glass of champagne, that was exciting. I'm sorry you had to see that. Are you kidding? That was better than any New Year's Eve party I've ever been to. She raised her glass in a mock toast. To your ex-wife's complete and total meltdown, captured in high definition for posterity. I laughed despite myself. You're terrible. I'm practical. Katie and Derek just handed you enough evidence to get restraining orders against both of them. Plus, this whole thing is going to be all over social media by morning. Their reputations weren't great before, but now they're going to be known as the crazy people who tried to break into their ex's house on New Year's Eve. She was right. By morning, the story would be everywhere. The Medford Moms Group, the Brighton Solutions Alumni Network, probably even the Boston Globe if it was a slow news day. Katie and Derek's public humiliation would be complete. My phone buzzed with a text from Ryan. Dude, Mrs. Patterson posted a video on Facebook of your ex-wife getting arrested. It already has 500 views. You're famous. I showed the message to Amanda, who grinned wickedly. Want to see it? God, yes. She pulled up Facebook on her phone and found Mrs. Patterson's post. The video was shaky but clear, showing Katie's drunken rants and Derek's failed attempts to break my window. The comments were already pouring in. OMG, is this the woman from the Instagram scandal? Yes, Katie Callahan. She cheated on her husband with her coworker. They both got fired for it. This is so embarrassing. Feel bad for Travis. He seems like such a nice guy. Nice guys finish first sometimes. Look at that house. Look at his new girlfriend. I looked at Amanda in surprise. How do they know about you? Small town, security cameras, process of elimination. Plus, I'm way prettier than your ex-wife. She was right about that, too. Amanda was beautiful in a natural, understated way that made Katie's high-maintenance glamour look desperate by comparison. We watched the video 3 more times, marveling at Katie's complete loss of composure and Derek's pathetic attempts at intimidation. By the end, I felt something I hadn't experienced since this whole mess started. Closure. You know what the best part is? Amanda said, refilling our glasses. What's that? Tomorrow, when they sober up and realize what they did, they're going to remember that they chose to do this, together, on New Year's Eve in front of half the neighborhood, with cameras rolling. She was right. Katie and Derek had spent months blaming me for their problems, claiming I'd ruined their lives and destroyed their relationship. But tonight, they'd proven what I'd known all along. They were the architects of their own destruction. They'll probably blame me for this too, I said. Let them. Everyone saw what really happened. Your ex-wife and her boyfriend got drunk, trespassed on your property, tried to break into your house, and got arrested for it. That's not your fault. That's their choice. I pulled Amanda close and kissed her as the clock struck midnight. Outside, the snow continued to fall, covering the damage to my window and the footprints on my lawn. By morning, everything would look clean and new again. Katie had wanted to caption our story as a tale of her finding her real partner. Instead, she'd written herself into a cautionary tale about the price of betrayal and the power of consequences. Some stories end with forgiveness, others end with justice, but the best ones end with the truth finally being told, and the right people getting what they deserve. Next time, maybe she'll think twice before posting captions that ruin lives. Or at least she'll spell check them first.